As of right now, the entire world is making moves. And these are massive moves, some of which could escalate a war, some of which could actually minimize the war. But every single country is making moves. I will explain exactly what's happening in just a moment. All I ask is if you enjoy these daily updates, do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like button, and let's begin. So if you have turned on the news at all today, you've looked on TikTok, you looked on Instagram, you looked on Facebook, or here on YouTube, you've probably seen that the United States was attacked again. These attacks continue over and over and over. Look at this, because the United States now has finally retaliated. Look at this. It says U.S. fires on and kills hostile forces after attack in Iraq, according to U.S. officials. In this statement, they also stated that there has been attacks before where the United States retaliated, but they didn't address it. There was no news conference, there was no press release, there was nothing. However, I want to be very clear on this, I believe what they're saying is false. That the United States, this is the first time they have attacked and killed hostile forces. And the reason I say this is because in this instance today, we saw on Twitter or X that people were saying that they just found out. There was word that there is pictures. There are now statements that yes, the U.S. has killed hostile forces. We haven't heard that before. But I want to read you this article because this is just the start of it. The United States, according to them, are saying that we are just trying to not escalate too quickly. We do not want the war to widen, and that is the common consensus amongst many countries. Is what we're trying to do at this point is to prevent a wider war. That's it. Okay? You think I'm this is a joke. It's not. You think this is what they're saying, but they're not doing anything about it? Well, look at this. South African lawmakers, they voted to shut down Israel's embassy. Their embassy is closed. It is closed until Israel agrees to a ceasefire. Not only that, they're also suspending all diplomatic relations until this ceasefire is agreed to. Again, it doesn't stop there. In Jordan, they say they're going to beef up their army presence along the border with Israel. Why? They don't want anything that's happening in Israel to trickle over into their country. Again, it's to prevent a wider war. Now, it doesn't stop there. One of the biggest crises right now is there is not enough humanitarian aid getting into Gaza because Israel continues to hammer Gaza with more and more missiles. Well, one of the concerns is what if the aid that's going into Gaza gets struck? Well, here's what the United States is doing. The United States has sent Israel data on different aid groups and their locations to prevent a strike on top of them. We are trying to prevent a strike against the humanitarian groups in Gaza. But again, Israel has continued to hit some sites, and this is causing mass panic in Gaza, but also across the world. And this is why the United States is getting hit. Okay, I'm going to read you some of this article. Okay, this is actually from CNN. Okay, let's go ahead and read a little bit of this. It says U.S. military aircraft fired on a vehicle and killed hostile forces after multiple close-range ballistic missiles were launched against U.S. and coalition forces in Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq on Monday evening. Now, if we come down here, it says, as of Tuesday, there have been at least 66 attacks on U.S. and coalition forces in Iraq and Syria since October 17th. Here's a big one. I want to be very clear on this. It says it has been 66 attacks on U.S. and coalition forces. Okay? That was not what we were getting in the initial stages. We just kept seeing 46 attacks on U.S. troops, 51 attacks on U.S. troops, 61 attacks on U.S. troops, and then today, 66 attacks on U.S. troops. Now, according to CNN, it includes coalition forces. It says, including several on forces at al-Assad. Earlier in the day on Monday, before the ballistic missile attack, a U.S. official said a one-way drone attack was also launched against forces at al-Assad, which resulted in no casualties or infrastructure damage. That's good. Then it says, as of last week, at least 56 U.S. troops had sustained minor injuries in the attack since October 17th. At least 25 of them being traumatic brain injuries, and all had since returned to duty. Now, I want to be very clear on this. These attacks on U.S. troops are not going to stop because we still have over 2,500 troops in Iraq and in Syria. Iran does not appreciate that we're over there. So Iranian-backed groups are going to continue to hammer the United States. Now, there's a difference between Israel hammering Gaza because of Hamas being there, and they are hammering Gaza. According to a recent picture that I saw, it is saying that 40% of northern Gaza is seeing mass destruction where buildings are being decimated. They're being leveled. People cannot go back to northern Gaza because there's a good chance their home and their livelihood is not there anymore. Now, with that said, the United States is simply staying in Iraq and in Syria because they don't want to go backwards. Okay? They don't want Iraq and Syria to go backwards. That's what we're hearing. It's different in Israel. They have continued to go backwards. They say that Hamas has been hammering them for decades. There's always been a threat. And now Israel is not going to stand for it anymore. And because of this attack that happened on October 7th, they are going to get rid of Hamas once and for all. That is what Israel's President Benjamin Netanyahu has said. Now, that said, this is where things are getting intense. The United States is being looked at across the world by every single country because of what we are doing or not doing. President Biden's lack of action or inaction with Israel is what many people are looking at, even here in the United States. We have pro-Palestinian groups, we have Israeli groups as well, that they are looking at President Biden and the Biden administration and asking themselves, what are they doing? These are the people that we have chosen to lead our country. But can they actually do it with any success? Well, and what I've said earlier on this week as well, and actually last week, is the Biden administration has to step up. They have to do more. They have to do more for the American people and people abroad, because if they don't, we are less than 1 year away from the next election, which is a presidential election. President Biden may not get a second term if he doesn't do more. So that's what we're hearing at this time. The worry right now is if the United States doesn't do much, or we do too much, we have to be right in the middle. There's a sweet spot when it comes to attacks against us, okay, and attacks that we do as well. So the worry right now, and according to the FBI director, that things haven't been this intense. The risks against the United States haven't been this high in many years. So, as we get more information, I promise I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates, but that is what we know as of right now. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.